Hello and welcome to the Sunday History Rewind. I'm your host, Jim Lumley, today in Utah Beach on the northern shores of France, where over 77 years ago, a fierce battle took place on the morning of June 6, 1944, known as D-Day or Operation Overlord. And due to the courage of those men in the Allied forces, the historic battle that day put a big dent in the German army of Hitler and started the liberation of Northern Europe.
I've always wanted to come here to Normandy. My grandfather served in Europe during World War II in the Army Infantry. The coast in northern France is very quiet. Remaining is the old rusted barbed wire the Germans installed to fend off an attack from the Allied forces. Normandy is a very beautiful beach, but on the morning of June 6, 1944, it was very bloody.
That morning, June 6, 1944, at sunrise, there was a division of 225 U.S. Army Rangers that were tasked with scaling these 90-foot cliffs and neutralizing the German gun positions here in Utah and Normandy. At the end of that day, only 90 men survived.
The Army Rangers scaled the cliffs at Pointe du Hoc to destroy a battery of 155mm guns the Germans placed here when they invaded France. If the Rangers were not successful in their mission, D-Day would have been a complete failure.
This is the exact spot where President Ronald Reagan gave his famous speech, The Boys of Pointe du Hoc, commemorating the 40th anniversary of D-Day on June 6, 1984.
We stand on a lonely, windswept point on the northern shore of France. The air is soft, but 40 years ago at this moment, the air was dense with smoke and the cries of men, and the air was filled with the crack of rifle fire and the roar of cannon. At dawn on the morning of the 6th of June, 1944, 225 Rangers jumped off the British landing craft and ran to the bottom of these cliffs. Their mission was one of the most difficult and daring of the invasion: to climb these sheer and desolate cliffs and take out the enemy guns. The Allies had been told that some of the mightiest of these guns were here, and they would be trained on the beaches to stop the Allied advance. The Rangers looked up and saw the enemy soldiers at the edge of the cliffs shooting down at them with machine guns and throwing grenades, and the American Rangers began to climb. They shot rope ladders over the face of these cliffs and began to pull themselves up. When one Ranger fell, another would take his place. When one rope was cut, a Ranger would grab another and begin his climb again. They climbed, shot back, and held their footing. Soon, one by one, the Rangers pulled themselves over the top, and in seizing the firm land at the top of these cliffs, they began to seize back the continent of Europe. 225 came here. After 2 days of fighting, only 90 could still bear arms. And behind me is a memorial that symbolizes the Ranger daggers that were thrust into the top of these cliffs. And before me are the men who put them there. These are the boys of Pointe du Hoc. These are the men who took the cliffs. These are the champions who helped free a continent. These are the heroes who helped end a war.
Next, I visited a couple of museums, including a private family-owned museum containing an impressive collection of original artifacts from the D-Day invasion.
A few miles east is Omaha Beach, where the largest number of U.S. casualties took place on that June 6, 1944 day. But today, over 77 years older, it's very peaceful on this beachhead.
Next, I visited the American Cemetery at Normandy. It's difficult to describe my emotions as I walked among the 9,386 graves covering 172 acres of land. The only soil that America asked for was enough ground to bury our fallen soldiers.
People from all over the world should come here to see the sacrifices that were made to preserve freedom and liberty.
June 6, 1944 was Sergeant Walter B. Gilden's third wedding anniversary. He and his fellow Rangers sang songs to celebrate the occasion shortly before landing on Omaha Beach. The 23-year-old steel worker from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania was cut down by enemy fire within minutes of coming ashore. When his widow died in 2002 at age 78, she was buried by his side. This embattled shore, portal of freedom, is forever hallowed by the ideals, the valor, and the sacrifice of our fellow countrymen.